Alright, so basically guys, the moral of this video is if you've got a lead foot, you need to drain that pumpkin. You need to get that crap out of there. The first time I drained my differential, it looked like anti-seize solution squirting out of the hole. It was silver, bright aluminum colored silver sludge. It was bad, man. I mean, I could not believe the amount of metal that dumped out of that thing. And I believe that the differential was probably never serviced since I've had the car. I got this car at 90,000 miles, and I pretty much killed the poor thing. So, definitely got a heavy foot, and I knew that I needed to check that differential. It took 2 of those quart bottles, and if you've never done this to your car, and if you've got a big truck or anything like that, this isn't an oil you just want to leave sitting around like we do typically. Like before I got this car, I never changed differential fluid in my life. So after seeing all that sludge and metal filings come out of that thing, just that stuff's just flying around in there in your gears. Your gears are being showered with metal filings, and what worries me most of all is the damage that can do to the seals, which end up in lubrication loss and total part failure. And I'm doing a crankcase oil swap out, and if you've never done this before, the way you fill these up is that you pump oil into them until it starts leaking out. I've turned the pump on there. I think we got a steady stream coming out now. Okay, that's pretty much what I want to see. And that pretty much drained this second bottle. We got that steady flow we want. I'm just gonna leave that marinate until it's done dripping, and I'm gonna put the cap back on. This car currently has 180,000 miles on it. If you're wondering how long an Infiniti lasts, this is an Infiniti G37 Journey. Doing some maintenance to it, just changed the oil and found a frightening amount of metal filings in the oil. So this video is going to kind of have a little bit of a documentary to it. We're going to see where these oil filings go. How many miles do you get out of your car after you find a pan full of metal shavings? Looks like someone dumped glitter in my oil, dude. So driving to Texas and driving to New Jersey and all across the country, it's definitely Philadelphia, definitely putting a hurting on this thing. So if you're wondering how many miles you can get out of one of these things, I'm at 180,000. I've had some serious problems already with this thing, with the engine timing chain galley gasket. I fixed that myself and saved 4,500 bucks. It also had a broken engine bracket, which we're probably not going to be able to see. And other than that, the rack and pinion failed on me. I think the person who owned the car before me hit a curb and damaged it, blew the seals in it. So luckily I work on cars. If you work on cars a little bit, I would say these things are a pretty great bargain. But if you're not into working on cars, I would be about $5,000 in repairs in this thing, had it not been the fact that I invested my money in tools. So that's all I got. I do know quite a few people who have blown the rear end of their vehicle towing heavy loads and things like that, and I think for the most part it's not so much not changing the oil, but rather removing all the debris. I think the accumulation of metal shavings off of the gears, that's some hard metal in there, guys. Those teeth are hard metal. So when you get hard metal shavings in your differential oil and you drive another 100,000 miles on it, you're literally driving around with steel sand in your crankcase, basically. So if anything, I think it's the accumulation of the hardened face metal of the gear teeth that destroys your differential more so than the lack of changing the oil. I really believe that simply removing the metal shavings in itself, that you could take the oil out and filter it and it'd probably last 500,000 miles, because it really doesn't get exposed to the torture that an engine oil does, in my opinion. I mean, it gets hot. I've seen this stuff turn into tar, that it's just been broken down so badly. But I think for the most part that's what it is. You at least want to drain it and get the metal shavings out of there if you don't want to spring for the money to change it. That cost me $40 to change out that differential oil, 22 bucks a bottle. I buy the most expensive stuff they have available every time. I don't play around when it comes to lubrication. I am way too rough on equipment to do that.